It's November 29th, 2023. It's This Week in Comics.
It's mighty strange. You looking happily in I can say the shimmy.
Hello everyone and welcome to November 29th, 2023. I'm your bumbling guide to all things comics, Dustin Dry. I get it wrong just as much as I get it right. We have a couple of number ones to get to, a couple of anthologies to get to, a bunch of number twos, 2 series finales. Let's go. Basic Instinct Pound of Flesh number 1, as told by Sam Freeman, as drawn by Vanessa Del Rey, and as colored by Kayla Valero. Catherine Trammell's in town promoting her new book when during an art exhibit, a artist kind of mysteriously dies, or did they? Another artist on hand to witness what happened goes to his gallery to make sure that everything's going to be set up okay the next day, and there he finds a dead body. He gets questioned by police who are a little suspicious that he doesn't know who the artist was that was doing the exhibit with him, but once he gets home, he gets a message from Catherine Trammell that asks if he wants to meet. I'm not the biggest Basic Instinct fan. In fact, I maybe have seen the movie one time. I've never seen the second one, but I like a good detective tale, and I love a serial killer, which Catherine Trammell is. It's got good art, it's got a good story. Basic Instinct Pound of Flesh number 1 is a 7.5 out of 10. Titans Beast World number 1. Writer Tom Taylor, penciler Ivan Reis, inker Danny Mickey, colorist Brad Anderson. The Necrostar, a being long trapped away by the Tamaranians, is broken free from the moon of Titan by Brother Eternity. Gar comes up with a brilliant plan where he becomes Starro and actually extends himself through a bunch of the small Starro beings. And his plan works brilliantly until he's surprised and attacked by Dr. Hate, who reveals himself to Gar but does not reveal himself to us. He takes control of Gar, and Gar sends all the Starropods into heroes and turns them into beasts. Now guys, this kicks off the big event of Beast World going through DC Comics, of which I will be reading all of the issues, minus maybe the Action Comics issues. We'll see when we get there. But like a lot of things Tom Taylor, this is starting off really hot and really good. I actually really like the trajectory of the book. The art's always great. Titans Beast World number 1 is an 8 out of 10. Howard the Duck number 1 with stories by Chip Zdarsky and Joe Quinones, Daniel Kibblesmith, Jason Liu, and Merritt K. With art by Jordan Gibson, Stacey Lee, Annie Wu, Ian Herring, Derek Charm, Dee Cunniffe, Will Robson, and Pete Petalanzas. Alrighty guys, this is an anthology issue where the Watcher's brother, the Peeper, asks Howard what if some of the things in his past would have come to fruition. The first story involves Howard becoming president, which is a flashback to the first volumes, number 8 and 9. It's kind of a funny story, but actually I thought the weakest of the 3. The X-Men story, where he gets turned into a mutant because a lot of people think he is a mutant anyway, is also highly entertaining, and we get to see a lot of famous X-Men moments play out with Howard there instead, until he's turned back into being just a regular duck. And the last story by Merritt K, where he becomes Star-Lord, is actually super funny because Howard with the Guardians of the Galaxy works in a weird way, and it also works where everybody hates him on that team. Overall, though, I'd give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. I do think the Star-Lord story stands out above the rest. Plus, the ending of the book where Chip Zdarsky reveals who Howard the Duck really is super hilarious. Check it out. Howard the Duck number 1, 7.5 out of 10. Edenwood number 2, story and art by Tony S. Daniel with colors by Leonardo Pacioretty. More of our backstory is revealed here as we learn that time works a little bit differently inside of Edenwood. We get redcoats, we get current day people, we get to see Ryan healed, we get to see what's become of some of his friends. This is a great issue, and I'm super curious what all of it means and where it's going. Edenwood number 2 is an 8 out of 10. Alan Scott's Green Lantern number 2, writer Tim Sheridan, artist Cian Tormey, colorist Matt Hermy. This is an amazing backstory issue as Alan tells us how he came about getting the powers of the Green Lantern. We also meet memorable allies of his inside of Arkham Asylum, including Billy, who is a transgendered man in the 40s, so he's being forced to convert, especially through brain surgery. The story is tragic and sad, especially for the time period with which they're dealing with compared to how we view things today, although even today is getting a little more intolerant. On the superhero end of things, I wonder who the Red Lantern is. Alrighty guys, the new Golden Age continues strong. I like this book. It has just enough story, just enough great art, and just enough of that like eeriness of the way things used to be. Alan Scott's Green Lantern number 2 is an 8.5 out of 10. Amazon's Attack number 2, writer Josie Campbell, colorist Alex Guimaras with artist Vasco Gorgia. The attacks on the Amazon continue as Ares sows more chaos with a golden apple of discord. Dr. Sivana provides magical tech to the enemies, much to the dismay of Mary Marvel, and then you have to wonder, What was Nubia's vision? What did she see? And also, what is Asylum? Alrighty guys, I know this is just a tie-in issue, or it ties into Wonder Woman, but this book is actually better than Wonder Woman so far. Got a clear-cut drive, a clear-cut story, enough superhero-ness to it. Amazon's Attack #2 is an 8 out of 10.
Predator vs. Wolverine #3, writer Benjamin Percy, artist Ken Lashley, Hayden Sherman, and Kai Zama, with color artist Juan Fernandez and Alex Guimaras.
This book continues through Wolverine's past as the Predator hunts him down through his life. He finds out that Wolverine's entire skeletal system is adamantium, and he knows he wants Wolverine's skull as his ultimate prize. But Logan does manage to escape once more, and when we find him next, he's in Japan, and that's when the Predator strikes. This miniseries is so enjoyable, guys. If you like the Predator, if you like Wolverine, if you like a cool mashup of two different major properties, Predator vs. Wolverine #3 continues its stellar run. It's an 8 out of 10.
The Penguin #4, writer Tom King, artist Rafael De La Torre, and colorist Marcelo Maiolo.
Oswald continues to build his team to retake Gotham in this issue, and it starts with his wife, Lisa St. Clair. This issue is a ruse within a ruse within a ruse within a ruse that eventually gets Oswald his wife back, minus her companion Lung. This is my favorite book that Tom King is writing right now, and I can't wait to see what happens when Penguin finally returns to Gotham. The Penguin #4 is an 8 out of 10.
Green Arrow #6, with writer Joshua Williamson, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., pencilers Sean Isaacs, Phil Hester, and Trevor Hairsine, with inkers Sean Isaacs, Ande Parks, and Trevor Hairsine.
In this issue, Ollie fights Merlin, who's been pulling the strings all along, and in the end, he ends up choosing his family, which is something he never does. And because of it, he's mostly reunited with everyone. Mostly. Except Roy and Jade investigate a Waller stronghold, and while there, Amanda reveals that her plan is set in motion, and Roy gets shot along with Jade by Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker and Amanda Waller just as Beast World starts. This is my first Green Arrow book, and honestly guys, I feel like an idiot for never having read one before. Green Arrow #6 is an 8.5 out of 10.
Local Man #7, written by Tony Fleeks and Tim Seeley, with Farmington art by Fleeks and Brad Simpson, and third gen art by Seeley and Felipe Sobrero.
In the past, we see Inga's reasoning for starting the bakery and how Jack's dad actually helps her. In the present, Jack hears a voice and is ripped into a pond, but when he's rescued, it's rescued by a bunch of hippies that are living in the woods. They end up slipping him mushrooms in his tea, and it causes him to hallucinate as he goes to investigate what's happening. But just like everything that's going on in this town, everything seems to be leading back to 4th Gen, to Seascape, to Inga, to her missing prodigy. Everything about this book is so entertaining, guys. It's one of my favorite books on the shelves right now. Local Man #7 is another 8.5 out of 10.
Batman, the Brave and the Bold #7.
Batman, Pygmalion Part 2. Story, art, and letters by Guillaume March. Colors by Arif Prianto. New Batman meets Jim and Catwoman before he's eventually confronted with real Batman, aka Bruce, who reveals to him that he's actually a master tech thief who ended up stealing the cowl from Batman during one of his robberies. Bruce reveals to him that he already has a family and that he should get back to him. However, his surrogate family, his substitute family who had nursed him back to health, radio to him that they need his help. That's when Bruce hands him back the cowl, and the two of them fly off as Batmen to save the day. Pygmalion Part 2, it's pretty great, guys. It's an 8 out of 10, definitely worth checking out. Hopefully this is one of the stories that they collect as its own little thing.
Wild Dog, Here Comes Trouble Part 1, writer Kyle Starks, pencils by Fernando Parison, inks by Eau Claire Albert and Wade Von Grobadger, and colors by Matt Herms.
This is the story of Wild Dog, the Quad City's first ever superhero. He's a former university athlete who, upon getting injured, joins the military, and when he gets back, he ends up falling in love with a crime boss's daughter, who ends up getting murdered by a rival crime boss. However, when she's killed, he ends up becoming a superhero a la the Punisher, ready to take down crime, called Wild Dog. I thought this first part was super cool. It made perfect sense. The art was brilliant. Wild Dog Part 1 is an 8.5 out of 10.
Aquaman, Communion Part 1, writer and artist Gabriel Hardman, with colors by Matt Hollingsworth.
To start, Aquaman saves a fish who actually has a warning for him that there's something going on deep within the ocean. Aquaman investigates and finds an alien race called the Dominators, but he's quickly knocked out by a giant mechanical being. And when he comes to, that mechanical being reveals himself to be Gorilla Grodd, who needs Gorilla City saved by Aquaman. I'm not a big Aquaman fan, but I actually thought this was super fun and super cool. I love Gorilla Grodd. Aquaman Communion Part 1 is an 8 out of 10.
The Wager, writer Matthew Rosenberg and art by Matteo Scaleria.
In this black and white portion, Etrigan and Batman wager who will end up catching a criminal first. And of course, our boy Bats is the first one to him. But as the criminal points out that he's just going to be back on the streets in a few months, Batman ends up letting him go and walks away, letting Etrigan come for him. I love the black and white issues. I think they look so cool. Etrigan's a great character along with Jason Blood. The Wager is another 8.5 out of 10.
Last but not least is City Boy number 6. Last but not least because City Boy is over. City Boy, written by Greg Pak with art by Minku Jung and colorist Sebastian Chang.
Cameron is a kid in Metropolis when he stumbles upon a experiment run by Intergang and their doctor, Dr. Mikhayasen, who's working with Darkseid. Cameron's abilities to connect to a city and see how it works throughout is going to allow Darkseid to create a new apocalypse here on Earth. Throughout this series, Cameron ends up making and meeting avatars of Metropolis, Bloodhaven, Gotham. He also meets Swamp Thing, Superman, and Nightwing along the way. But mostly what our hero is looking for is his mother, who abandoned him as a child and went to Bloodhaven way back in the past. With the help of Swamp Thing, he ends up finding her grave, but his grief at first overwhelms him. It manipulates the environment and the cities around him as the start of the new apocalypse has begun. Lucky for Cam, he realizes what's happening and is able to realize that that's not what he wants, and he lets his mother go rather than being the avatar of the new apocalypse. And he also ends up having an amazing moment with Batman right at the end about loving his mother. Alrighty guys, this is the conclusion of another book in the We Are Legends line, and I have enjoyed all of them. I like new heroes, I like new stories, I like new voices. City Boy, number 1 through 6, the entire series is an 8 out of 10. Check it out. Check out the trade when it comes out, or the hardcover, whichever comes out first. City Boy, 8 out of 10. Check it out.
And last but certainly not least is 007 for King and Country. Last but certainly not least because 007 for King and Country is over. 007 for King and Country, writer Philip Kennedy Johnson, artist Alessio Avallone, and color artist Claudia Giuliani.
At the start of this series, Bond and Gann are on the run. They've been disavowed by their government for killing Sebastian Fromm, or at least being framed in the murder of Sebastian Fromm, right as MI6 was about to do a deal with them in Myrmidon. And Bond and Gann go to America to look for allies. They run into several 00 agents who are hot on their trail, ready to kill them, and they also run into Felix Leiter and an old Q who's there to help them out. It turns out that everybody who joins Myrmidon and gets in with Fromm's tech, they have a expiration date and they're bound to explode. And on top of that, they also create a hive mind so that Myrmidon would have its own force that it can act anywhere in the world. Which is why Gann was the one who betrayed Fromm, and she wants the army for herself. James and Gann do battle and their storied history plays out before us. But Bond does end up getting the upper hand and stopping her from achieving her ultimate goal, but instead of killing her, he lets her go. Upon his reinstatement into MI6, Bond is questioned about what happened with the information regarding Fromm's tech, which James knows is too dangerous to be in the hand of any single nation or any single country, including MI6. So he feigns ignorance because he is the one who deleted the files and says he hopes that he's not the one that will have to deal with it. When he leaves the office of M, Moneypenny gives him a letter. It's from Gann. It's a poem. She's alive and she does wish that they could have been together, but he knows that she's still out there. Overall, guys, Philip Kennedy Johnson's run comes to an end on Bond on 007. He wrote the first 007, 6 issues. Then he wrote 007 for King and Country, the follow-up. It's rare that Bond does a continuation of stories. It's rare that they carry over the storylines from character to character. Oftentimes, after 6 issues, the entire creative team changes, which it is going to change again in January to Garth Ennis. But this book, guys, 007 for King and Country, is a great book. It's a little bit of Mission Impossible mixed with 007, disavowed from the government, old flames, old allies. It's a great book. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for the adventure, for the spectacle of it. Definitely read the first book, 007, then read 007 for King and Country. Get the trade paperback, get the hardcover. Hopefully they collect all 12 together, would be great. But again, 007 for King and Country is an 8.5 out of 10. Real quickly, guys, the trade paperback for Groot, which ended back in August, comes out today. Let's check out on my review for number 4 back then.
Groot by Dan Abnett, Damian Cosero, and Matt Mila.
The spoilers, a mysterious alien group, show up on Groot's planet, Planet X, to wreak havoc. Groot, Tweeg, and Gleef, his two friends, call out to Mar-Vell and are rescued. An unseasoned Mar-Vell tries to return Groot, Tweeg, and Gleef back to their home planet, Planet X, but that ends up being the spoiler's home base. There, he ends up running into a Centaurian named Yondar. However, Mar-Vell also gets captured by the spoiler's leader named Eggs, a Flora Colossa that's infected. Groot sends out a distress signal, and the Kree end up hearing it. And just as our heroes, Yondar, Tweeg, Gleef, Mar-Vell, Groot, are all about to be decimated by the spoilers, the Kree force shows up and heeds their warning and saves them. Yondar, Mar-Vell, Groot, Tweeg, and Gleef all have moments to shine in this fun little series with some very inventive enemies in the spoilers. If you like Mar-Vell or you like Groot, I would definitely give this fun little series a read. Groot, number 1 through 4, is a 7.5 out of 10. It looks like I enjoyed the book well enough. Honestly, guys, you know me. I'm not going to read the whole series if I don't enjoy it to a degree. So check that book out, especially if you're a Groot fan, especially if you're not a fan of what Grootfall is and everything going on in the Guardians right now. It's a cute little story with him and Mar-Vell. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for This Week in Comics. Remember, the channel is at This Week in Entertainment. I enjoy all the comments, all the likes, all the subscriptions. Please like, follow, comment, subscribe. The more interaction we get, the better. Last week was our first video over 300 views. Woo! Let's go, guys. We're building, we're building, we're building. Remember, I'm your bumbling guide to all things comics. I get it wrong just as much as I get it right. And why do I tell you that? Because everybody else doesn't want to admit when they're wrong. It was another glorious week. Light on Marvel. It was their 5th week. But next week's another big week. Until then, let's fade to black. Hit the music.